Good morning. Today is Thursday, the second day of Adar, and we begin chapter 27 in Tanya. And Alter Rebbe continues here with the theme of simcha, joy, to make sure we got to be happy. We cannot have sadness in our life. Sadness is the worst thing. And because in order to serve Hashem properly, you have to do it with excitement, with happiness. The sadness is what the Yetzer Hara tries to get the person through sadness, to bring him down. And therefore, once he's down, he convinces himself that, okay, I'm no good person anyway, so what's the point of trying? I'm no good. Says Alter Rebbe, this is what we need to keep in mind to make sure not allow any sadness in your life. And Alter Rebbe was talking about dealing with all kinds of situations that can cause a person to lead him to sadness, to depression. And we spoke yesterday about two types of things. We spoke about the material challenges. A person has problems with money, he has problems with health, with children, all kinds of physical and material challenges that we have, says the Alter Rebbe. He spoke yesterday about it, how we have to realize that everything that comes from Hashem is good, and even the things that do not seem to be good, they come from a deeper place, from a higher godly revelation. It is good in disguise, and it comes from a higher source, and we have to focus on that, not to let us down. And then he spoke about, what about things that causes you sadness, things like sins that you did in the past. And when you think about it, it makes you sad. How terrible I am. I did so many sins. And Alter Rebbe explained that this also, you should not let this, even the spiritual sadness, you should not let this get to you. There is specific times when we have to focus on how to fix the past. But other than that, if you feel all of a sudden that you feel sad about bad things that you did, know that this comes from the Yetzer Hara, comes from the evil inclination. Because it doesn't work like this spontaneously. All of a sudden you would have a feeling of sadness about the past. The Yetzer Hara wants to make you sad, wants to bring you down. So that's why you have to put it on the side. Don't think about it. Think about doing Hashem's will. Think about good things, positive things. Later on, he's going to explain that there's certain times, specific times, that you have to focus on the not good things, and the main focus should be the positive, the simcha, the joy that comes out as a result, because we know that Hashem forgives right away. And now in chapter 27, the Alter Rebbe continues to address another problem, another issue. We're not talking about sins that a person committed in the past. This I can say, okay, let me put it on the side. I'm not going to think, I'm not going to focus. I'm going to focus on the good things. But what about the present time? He says, in the present time, people feel bad because they try. Sometimes people I try to become better. And then all of a sudden, I have all kinds of thoughts that come into my mind. Not good thoughts, sinful thoughts. So what kind of person am I? And here the Alter Rebbe comes to say that instead of this, the sinful thoughts that enter your mind, instead of causing you to be sad, it should cause you to be happy. And he's going to explain why. So we have to understand, we have to differentiate between the thought that we actively think or the initial thought that enters our mind. The problem is that sometimes people think that I worked on myself, I became such a good person, and all of a sudden evil thoughts come into my mind. It must be that I'm a terrible person. So Alter Rebbe says, no, you're a human being. And if you're a human being, those thoughts will come to you. And even if they come again and again, you should know God commanded you to control your thoughts. That means if your thought, not a good thought comes into your mind, you have to exchange it with a positive thought. And that is fulfilling a mitzvah. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that you should control your thoughts. You should not follow your heart. So every time you have this opportunity to do this mitzvah, to avoid focusing on the negative thoughts and shifting it to a positive thought, you just fulfilled a big mitzvah. So let's look at inside how the Alter Rebbe explains this. As the Alter Rebbe, now if, however, his sadness doesn't stem from anxiety over sins that he has committed in the past, but from the fact that sinful thoughts and desires enter his mind right now, in the present time. Then what does he have to think? So the Alter Rebbe says like this. When are we talking about? When are those thoughts, when do they come to you? Is it while you are studying Torah, you're praying, or is it while you are just doing your regular things, you work, you walk? So he first addresses when it falls in the time of not while doing God's service, but when you work, when you're busy with your own things. Says the Alter Rebbe, you have to be happy. Says the Alter Rebbe, if these thoughts occur to him not during his service of God, but while he's occupied with his own affairs and with mundane matters and the like, says the Alter Rebbe, Adar, he should, on the contrary, be happy in his lot. And why should he be happy? So he says, because although these sinful thoughts enter his mind, he averts his attention from them. You don't think about it. You shift your thoughts right away. And thereby, what happens? By averting his mind from sinful thoughts, he fulfills the injunction. We say it every day by Shema. We say, you shall not follow after your heart and after your eyes, by which you go astray. So this is a clear mitzvah in the Torah not to follow the eyes and the heart. Now, who is the Torah talking to? The Torah is not talking to the tzaddik. As we explained, the tzaddik is a person who completely eliminated his evil inclination, doesn't have a yetzer hara at all. So the above verse surely doesn't speak of tzaddikim, referring to them, God forbid, as going astray. A tzaddik doesn't go astray. Who is it talking about? The average person, people like us. But then we're talking about Beinanim, the intermediate person, like himself. In whose mind, there do enter erotic thoughts, whether of an innocent nature or otherwise. And when he averts his mind from them, he fulfills this injunction. This mitzvah of Leis Asura, he fulfills. Our sages have said, of blessed memory, they said, Yoshav v'lo yovar aveira, noisnim noisacha keilu asa mitzvah. Our sages said, when one passively refrains from sin, he is rewarded as though he had actively performed a mitzvah. So tzaddikim cannot do this mitzvah, in a way. They don't have evil thoughts. I mean, there is a mitzvah in the Torah, lo yisirtzach, right? Do not commit murder. Now, yesterday I didn't commit murder. I'm sure you didn't either. Did I fulfill a mitzvah? Did I get a mitzvah for not killing someone? I don't mean to get political, but I heard recently that in California they're planning to do a program of awarding former criminals. That if a certain time passes by and they didn't commit a crime, they get a reward. So I don't know how it is smart politically, but in a sense, here, this is what we're talking about. If you don't want to commit murder and you commit and you don't commit murder, you don't get a mitzvah. But why not? Because you don't have an urge to commit murder. But if a person has an opportunity, he has an urge to do something which is against God's will. He has a sinful thoughts in his mind, and he pushes it away. Then you fulfill the mitzvah. You're fulfilling a mitzvah by overcoming the urges that you have, even if it's a daily thing, and if it's an hourly thing. So sometimes you can have the thought coming to you again and again and again, and every time you just control your mind, you control your thoughts, you certainly control your actions, and you don't do it again and again, you're doing amazing mitzvah. So this is fulfilling that mitzvah of Lo Yisasuru, and that is why, says the Alter Rebbe, you have to be happy. Ve'al kei tzorich lismoyach bekiyum alav kemoi bekiyum mitzvahs asei mamash. Consequently, says the Alter Rebbe, he should rejoice in his compliance with this injunction, just as he does when performing an actual positive precept. You're excited when you take a lulav and esrog and make a bracha and make a mitzvah? Yes. You should be excited every time a bad thought came to your mind and you pushed it away. You should be excited about it. There's a story of, in the times of the Alter Rebbe. There was one Jew in the community that he was a sinful person, committed with other women and this and that, and some people they pushed him away. But the Hasidic community, they befriended him and they invited him, and he came to shul, and they encouraged him, and indeed it helped. He became better. But then after a while, again, rumors came out about this person, what he does with this woman, with that woman, and the Hasidim already, they felt it's too much. Maybe they shouldn't befriend him as a person like this who keeps doing this. So they didn't know what to do, so they came to the Alter Rebbe. And they asked the Alter Rebbe what to do with such a person. And the Alter Rebbe told them, if you would know how much joy God has from a person avoiding sinning even one time, you wouldn't ask this question. You have an opportunity of a person, you're getting a person close, even if he commits sins every single day, but if he'll do one less sin, it causes a great, great joy to Hashem. And certainly this should cause us joy instead of bringing us down, the fact that we have those thoughts. On the contrary, we should focus, what a beautiful opportunity now we have to serve Hashem, to give Hashem another gift of connecting with Hashem. This, says the Alter Rebbe, helps us in continuing serving Hashem with simcha. And tomorrow we're going to continue. The Alter Rebbe continues in this line of explanation. Thank you for joining. All the best.